So I'm here outside the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York City, and the works of art contained in this building are incredibly valuable, not just for their cultural value, or their aesthetic value, or their historical value. No, none of that. I'm talking about a value of a much more literal variety. In other words, these works of art are worth a lot of money. The total value of all the pieces in the Met's collection has been roughly estimated anywhere between 60 to 100 billion dollars. That is a lot of money, but interestingly, the entire music industry only brought in $43 billion last year, only 12% of which went to the actual musicians. In other words, the art in this building might be worth more than twice that of the entire international music industry. In a 2014 op-ed for the Wall Street Journal, Taylor Swift wrote that, "Music is art, and art is important and rare. Important, rare things are valuable. Valuable things should be paid for." I definitely agree, but if that was the case, then why was this piece of art, Van Gogh's self-portrait, recently valued at over $100 million? And why is this piece of art, Taylor Swift's Shake It Off, valued at $1.29 on iTunes? Okay, you done writing your comment about how pop music is worthless? Okay, I'll appeal to your elitist sensibilities. Why is Glenn Gould playing the final aria from the Goldberg Variations also worth $1.29 on iTunes? Is the artistry of Bach and Glenn Gould really worth 1/millionth of 1% that of Van Gogh's artistry? The free market certainly seems to think so. I mean, we tend to want to assign monetary value to things like consumer goods based upon how good they are, their utility, their quality, but that is not how the art world prices art. International arts dealer Sotheby's values the art that it sells on things like authenticity, rarity, medium, and provenance. The art that it sells goes for a lot of money.
And I'm going to start the bidding here at $57 million. $57 million, $58 million now, $58 million.
Now, I'm not an economist nor an arts dealer, but as a musician, I see two sets of criteria for pricing recorded music. The artistic experience of listening to the music, and then the object, the medium on which it's recorded and distributed. You see, music is a temporal art form. It takes place over time, like dance does, or theater. Historically, affixing these arts to a medium has been about leaving detailed instructions about how to reproduce the art, like manuscript paper does. Eventually, Mr. Thomas Edison gave us the ability to record sound, and so the advent of vinyl records kicked off a century of music as a consumer good. The price of music as a consumer good, whether it was recorded on vinyl or CD or whatever, was never based on the value of the musical listening experience. No, it was based on the value of the delivery mechanism. It's why you have these 3 tote bags in the Metropolitan Museum's gift store that are all priced the same way at $35, no matter the image. You're not paying for the art, you're paying for the tote bag. This is the problem with putting a price on musical experience. It can be such a subjective thing. Music that is devastatingly beautiful and life-changing for one person will sound like complete noise to another. It's hard to put a value on something that varies so wildly from person to person. The price of an iPhone doesn't change if you give it to somebody else, so why should music? And so the only thing that you can really assign value to, the only thing that you can sell, is the tote bag, or the art history book, or the kitchen magnets, or the sketchbook, all priced according to the medium, not the visual art. In the digital age, though, you don't even need to buy the proverbial tote bag in order to experience recorded music. Just the same way that you can Google image search pictures of art, you can stream music. Both art forms cease to have any form of scarcity. You don't need to pay more in order to have more musical experiences. What's more is that in comparison to other activities like reading books, which are also in a sense digitally post-scarce, the activity of listening to music requires very little opportunity cost in terms of time and attention, which are finite. You can listen to a lot of music in the same amount of time it takes to read one book. So the people who produce music are competing for your attention, a finite resource. But what's more, unlike books, music doesn't actually have to hold your attention in order to consume it. You can put it on in the background like some kind of wallpaper to your daily life. In the past year, I earned $551.81 on Spotify, where my music has been streamed 191,303 times, which ends up being less than a third of a penny per stream, which is actually roughly the industry average. I'm an independent artist though, so the sliver of a penny gets divided even further once labels and management are involved. Recording artists have been concerned with this sort of valuation of their craft for quite some time. In 2007, Andy Langer, writing for Esquire magazine, wrote, "We're willing to fork over serious money for concert tours we believe will be serious entertainment. We should begin to treat recorded music the same way, and there's only one truly effective way to do it, an across-the-board price hike." Yeah, so clearly that did not happen, but it does speak to the same frustration that Taylor Swift spoke to in her 2014 op-ed. We don't put a dollar sign on artistic experience, at least when it comes to an art form like recorded music. Now, honestly, the experience that I had standing before Van Gogh's self-portrait was all right, but it's not one that I would value at $100 million. I don't know, maybe one of these people had a $100 million experience, but I don't think so. In this case, just like in music, the experience and the physical object are two different things. Now, recently, recording artists have been trying out different ways of monetizing the experience, notably with name-your-own pricing for albums, first pioneered by Radiohead with their album In Rainbows. Now, this is something that only works once duplication costs effectively reach zero, as they have with digital distribution, and the whole thing really does work. People who value the experience more naturally will be inclined to pay more. But say we want to make it a little bit more tangible. Sotheby's insanely high valuation on the art that it sells is very much based on the art's scarcity. There is only one piece of art. It is unique. It is singular. And if recorded music is made to be unique, then potentially it is worth a lot more. This, of course, is not a hypothetical. Wu-Tang Clan's 2015 album, Once Upon a Time in Shaolin, only ever had a single copy pressed. This copy, housed in an ornate box, was sold at auction for $2 million to, incredibly enough, Pharma bro Martin Shkreli, but the copy was seized by federal agents in April of 2018 for debts that Shkreli owed the US government. The already colorful story of who owned this album and when adds to what Sotheby's would call the album's provenance. As far as the art markets are concerned, the narrative history of a thing adds to the value of it.
If you know that this object was part of the collection of Catherine the Great, does that not make it more interesting?
We tell the story correctly and it's a great estimate. You always see great results.
So, thank you, sir. By limiting the supply to just one recording artists can create real value for their product beyond just the experience of listening to it. Once Upon a Time in Shaolin is the most famous example of this, but there are avenues available to smaller artists who want to exploit this phenomenon. For example, Least of All Sound Recordings in Bushwick, Brooklyn does direct-to-vinyl recordings. I recently got a chance to watch old-time bluegrass duo Hoot and Holler record there.
Film on both sides, keeps the records protected until we cut them.
Each recorded take is committed to a new vinyl record.
Brood of Hate, take number 4. The Brood of Hate, take number 5. Brood of Hate, take number 6. Better hide his hollow bread. Brood of Hate has sprouted away.
Yeah, you guys cool.
Here's a little bit of cowboy existentialism for you. Old Buffalo. Here we go.
There is a one-to-one relation of musical experience and physical object. Each recording is fundamentally, unequivocally unique. All the subtle nuances of tempo, note choice, inflection, and potentially mistakes are only captured in that one performance for one lucky owner of that one vinyl record.
I sort of view this as the polar opposite of an MP3, right?
Right.
You can't duplicate them. They're intended for one person. They're just all one of a kind. The idea here was to make music in a way that was somehow opposite of the way people consume music now.
Living soul inside.
I personally think that it's a pretty cool idea to be able to own a take of a band's song that nobody else has. It is a little bit of a statement in an age where the medium of music has become mere data. Most of recorded music, just like most of visual art, is just a Google image search away. We pay for the medium, and when the medium is free, so is the music. Now, I'm not saying that this is wrong. I'm just trying to reflect on the situation. After all, those who fight fate against the tide of history and refuse to adapt end up fighting a losing battle, and I don't want to be one of them. I do have one question, though. Does the devaluation of the medium actually affect music's impact on us? I don't think so. If the experience of listening to music and the sense of self-actualization that that brings was not what the market was actually valuing in the first place, then the streaming revolution shouldn't affect the value of music. I like to think of the value of recorded music the same way that I think of the value of, say, a good home-cooked meal with family or a conversation with friends. Its value is intrinsic. It's part of what makes us who we are as humans. Music's value, for better or for worse, is priceless.
We got enough to share. Roll on now, I don't mind rolling slow. Roll on now, you ain't got far to go. Roll on now, I don't mind rolling slow. Put that on your vlog.